Welcome to the Contact Center Cactus Chat podcast. I'm your host, Eric Malvin, and I'm joined by my co-host today, Jake Kyan, coming from the Philippines. Welcome, Jake.
Hello, hi Eric. It's been months since the last time we did this, and I'm pretty excited to do this again.
Yeah, great to get back in the studio with you. He's coming from Dumaguete, Philippines. I'm out here in Tempe, and today we're going to be talking about why is the Philippines one of the leading hubs for outsourcing. There's a reason why when you think of outsourcing and you think of some people answering the phones not in the U.S., the first place that comes to mind, or one of the first, is the Philippines. So why is that? So Jake and I were going to be diving in that today and talking about that. Like, what are some topics people can expect to hear today?
Yeah, because if you question why is it the Philippines? There's so many places that they can try to do it, but why is it like the Philippines has this the industry is one of the most rapidly growing in the country, and here's the reason why. So number one, we can talk about how people in the Philippines got the English language. So to start with, we were colonized by the Americans for 48 years. And that really gave us the first of all, some of our grandparents speaks really good English, and for that, the family culture alone, when somebody who has that knowledge and skills will be passed on to the next generation. And I remember when I was a child, Eric, that there was an old person who really speaks really good English, and they said, it's because of he was with the Americans during the war, and for some families they got that passed into their grandchildren, and that's the reason why we have this good English speaking people in the Philippines, and also with the we've been really inclined with the foreign media. We watch a lot of American movies, and that's also influencing most of the people to speak better English. And
Also, you bring up some great points, Jake, because there's no way we could have this conversation about why is Philippines a leading hub for outsourcing without talking about the history and
exactly
that America taking control of the Philippines for all those years does play a huge role. You're right, and you mentioned a little earlier before the show how Philippines is the most westernized Asian country, and so that's a big deal. But why is that? It's because the influence of the U.S. and not only is it made English so prominent. In fact, I think it was a recent meeting we had where you were telling me, or one of you guys were telling me, that they're starting to teach Bisaya, the local language, in the schools, because the kids aren't learning the local language. They're learning English, and they're starting to forget about the local language. That's how, it's almost like we've gone too far. Like, okay, we've done so good at getting English into the Philippines that it's now, taken over the normal language. But that influence, it never stopped just because the U.S., Philippines, you get your own government and president, but the influence, it never left. They, you're there, you've got kids similar age to mine. I mean, what kind of stuff do they usually watch?
They were, lots of American stuff, and to be honest, most of the kids in their generation they've been having trouble speaking our own dialect, and that's the reason why the government implemented the curriculum or subject in school, which they are required to speak their own dialect. And that's how strong the influence of the U.S. or Americans here in the Philippines. And even my kids, I can really say that they've been influenced by the foreign media, the news and all the stuff that they watch, like the cartoons and all other things are speaking English, and they also speak English more. And
the kids too. Like before, it was where like kids growing up, they watch Disney Channel all day, and now they have like an American accent because they've been watching Disney Channel. Now it's YouTube, it's Twitch, it's Instagram, Facebook. They're just all day they're watching these American like influencers, and so yeah, however it is, like it's that American influence. So that's one reason, because we're dealing with customer experience, and we got to have empathy on the phone if we're doing a good job. And how do you relate to a customer that's on the other side of the world that has you don't have much in common, but there is a lot of overlap because of that American influence in the Philippines. And I think the Filipinos probably can relate more to the Americans, or they could at least talk more, if we're talking sports or movies, culture, pop culture, there's a lot of overlap. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the effectivity of it, like, when somebody calls you, try to convince you to sell something, and, try to, just to have a conversation. If you're an American and you're listening to someone that, who's struggling to speak English, or someone who you don't understand, the barrier is already up. You don't want to continue talking, or just to get that being effective in how to talk to Americans. You have to speak good English, or at least they should understand what you're talking about. So that's something that Filipinos have, because we speak better English, and that's one thing that will make the business effective when you're working with Americans, or trying to work expand the business for American consumers, or American customers. So that's one of the reasons.
So we talked about history, the American influence. What are some of the other reasons that you've seen? Like, why is you're there, right? You're seeing it. You grew up seeing the call center industry blow up to what it is today. So I mean, you're just talking about your life here. So what else do you see out there of why is it that the Philippines are really stepping out for because I'll be honest, I get businesses all the time that talk to me, and they're like, I know I want to outsource to the Philippines, and I just got to find a company that I can work with. And so they made a decision that they're going to outsource, and it's specifically to the Philippines. So what are some other reasons why people automatically jump to the Philippines?
Of course, when you do business, you need to look for someone who has a really good work ethics. We're very versatile also, and we can go from task to task. Can assign someone to do a lot of things. The business advantage of having to work with one person who can do a lot of things, and that's very common with Filipinos. The work ethics itself, it's part of the business where you would want to make people effective and efficient in what they do. Is that they should possess these kinds of things. And that's one thing, and I believe that's the most important. Second to the English speaking capability is to have that really good work ethics, and also along with that, in comparison to other countries who's doing the outsourcing, Philippines has better IT infrastructure, I believe, and our the power outage here is not as worse as any other countries. So also that's
so
other
infrastructure.
Thing.
And it's something that is overlooked, I think. When you're thinking about working with like for me, setting up shop in the Philippines. When we started up Pac Biz 8 years ago, I wasn't thinking about like what's the internet like in the Philippines, what's the power like. Pretty quickly, I was thinking about that all the time, but yeah, it's interesting. One of the things I've noticed. So Philippines and India, they've led the world in outsourcing for the past several decades, and within the last couple of years, there's been a huge boom in outsourcing to countries all over the world, and so countries like in Central America in like places like Mexico and Colombia, and in Africa, in the Bahamas, the Caribbeans. There's all these new places that were never thought of before as places that you could outsource to, and they're starting to evolve and grow. And I'm meeting people all the time. They're like, "Hey, I've got, I want to start a call center in this country or that country," and the infrastructure, is not there. Like, or there might be challenges, and you wonder why do businesses always cluster together? And you see these, like even in Dumaguete, it's because of the infrastructure. There's good internet, good power. That's where you want your business to be, and it's a big deal because your power goes out and you can't take calls anymore. That's
Yeah. And to add to that, Eric, it's the wages and labor also of the Philippines and our other countries so have been, good places for outsourcing. Um, that's that's what makes business grow. Like when you're paying low wages and labors to your workers, who are also performing as good as what you have there in the U.S. So that's one
Yeah. So
that's one factor.
and that's interesting too because I want to do a little bit of comparing Philippines with some of the other countries, and again, that's how the Philippines really got their start in outsourcing, and I think India as well is because of that low labor costs, and that's where the really interesting thing is because these other countries that are starting to come up, they're cheaper, they're coming in even lower price, lower wages, lower labor, and so it's interesting to see because that was a competitive advantage for the Philippines, but maybe today, that might not be. I know that like Pakistan, for example, it's another country that's just starting to really boom in outsourcing, but we're seeing firsthand effects. What happens when the infrastructure isn't there. Businesses they're getting the experience they're looking for, but maybe the calls drop all the time, or they have like the agents can't take calls, so that's a big deal. But going back to the labor, so where do you see like with labor costs increasing in the Philippines? Because if you've been in the call center industry for 10, 20 years, your wages are going to be higher, right? You got people with lots of experience. You got people that could manage things now, manage the call center, lead these team of people, and so now there's going to be more money. So what trends do you think is going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years, and because of that?
Um, I would like to compare Philippines to like India and the other country. Um, the increase of labor costs for Philippines, and in comparison, we are not decreasing as fast as that they do. So the we yeah, based on what I read, we are. I believe that in the coming years we are still considered as the lowest cost for labor and wages, and I think that's another advantage that we have, probably because of other outsourcing countries like India, they have increased a lot, a lot higher compared to Philippines. So that would affect the chain of labor, and the countries all over the country is increasing. So that's going to be a disadvantage on their end, which makes the Philippines the most efficient when it comes to outsourcing.
Yeah. So the wages thing is interesting, and that it's great that you had some research to back up what you're saying because I assumed some things, and yeah, I guess that other countries, but you did confirm one thing that I know for sure is that it is going up. That what it costs to get the support that you might have gotten 10 years ago from India or the Philippines, it's not going to cost the same because just like here in the U.S. or UK, everywhere, in the last couple of years, home prices have doubled in some places. Grocery costs, everything has gotten expensive. Well, guess what? That's the same thing in everywhere else in the world. Everything's gotten more expensive.
Yeah.
As more groceries cost more, school, taking care of your kids costs more. So everyone needs to make more money too. So
Hmm.
it is go hand in hand. So it makes sense to see that it is going up. But that's also where you're also seeing these other countries coming in. But even then, Philippines, I don't know, did you get any data on how much the industry is expected to grow in the Philippines over the next couple of years?
No, I haven't. But the increase was uh, the it's big, Eric. It's indirectly affecting all other things in here, like the infrastructures, um, and the cost of living, and in other areas, because we need to improve also the transportation. There's a certain number who amount of money that's being lost because of people who are being late working in the office, and that's a big
Oh,
amount
because
per
they can't get
year.
to the office on time
Hmm.
because traffic and
Yeah,
yeah,
and
that's a big problem.
yeah, and that's the reason why the transportation also in the Philippines is improving a lot. Improved. There's the also we're providing more jobs to people who are working in the construction, because we need more offices to accommodate all other businesses who are coming in and work and outsource their business here in the Philippines. So there's really a lot, and you can really see the buildings are being, especially here in our city in Dumaguete. Some hotels are being they transition from having the hotel into an office, and
Oh, really?
yeah, it's really
That's
effective, and
surprising.
it is like
That's
there was.
so funny because in the US right now, the opposite's happening because there's so many people that are working from home and they've never come back to the office that the office real estate market is tanking right now. Like it is dropping. There's businesses that are actually shifting from they were going to build a big project with like a bunch of buildings in downtown Phoenix, and instead of a bunch of office buildings, it's now residential. This is in the news like just today. So it's it is interesting where the shift is. In the U.S., work from home, and I'm glad at Pac Biz we got work from home. So some of those challenges, and then we're also based in Dumaguete. We're not in Manila or Cebu, and so people don't have an hour long commute to go 2 miles, or some crazy journey to get, across town. It's pretty easy to get to the office. Nice small town we're in. All right. So, Jake, you're talking about the investment back into the Philippines and the impact. Now, the Philippines, because of this boom in outsourcing all these years, now they're investing back into, we talked about infrastructure, transportation. We're making it easier for businesses to do business in the Philippines, to hire people, we're building more offices, which in turn create more growth. So you're seeing the impact of that, which is great. But I also want to talk about the something that I saw here, because something that I think Philippines, Dumaguete, where we're based, and Phoenix, something they have in common, even though we're 8,000 miles apart from each other, is we're both call center cities. Phoenix really had this is one of those like places in the country where like there were call center jobs here all over. It's not now where our industry has grown a bit, but growing up, I mean, even me, I think I had two different call center jobs before I started my first business, which led to Pac Biz. Never thought I'd own my own call center. But the point is that what I've noticed here in Phoenix is those people that were my managers and supervisors back in the early 2000s are now leading teams or call center operations, or you end up with all this talent and all this experience in the call center space. And so if other people want to start a call center in Phoenix, well, you've got lots of people to hire from, lots of people with experience. So it makes it continue to be a great place to put a call center even today. And I think the same thing about Dumaguete, where we've had call centers, some with 5,000 employees that have been there since early 2000s at the start of the outsourcing boom. And so we're now able to take advantage of that because now there's all these people that again are supervisors, they're training, they're leaders at different call centers, and we're able to bring those people in, and which again, if you're people like if you're a business that's looking to invest in the Philippines and you have all this talent and they have years and years of experience, like where are you going to find that? And these other countries that are coming up, that maybe in 10 years they'll get that experience too, but it's going to take a while. So that means that we could take on more challenging projects, bigger opportunities, and we're going to be able to handle more responsibility compared to maybe some of the other countries. So that's my big picture take on it. I don't know, but you're living it, so what do you think about that?
Right now, we have estimated of 1.8 million Filipinos are working with the outsourcing business. That's a lot, and it will continue to increase in the coming years. And with the buildings that are being constructed, for sure that will be filled up with a lot of businesses. And I believe also that some of the business owners here, the owners of the buildings, have recognized the potential of the outsourcing businesses, knowing that other who have been, they build they have their buildings, and they want to, and now they are converting it to become an office for call centers. They used to have this, dormitory. I just recently, because I was looking around for buildings, and they said this was we removed the walls just to accommodate and in the transition to become a call center office. Yeah, they recognize the potential, and that's also one thing. These people are looking after what's gonna come next, and I know they see this business as the future of the country.
That's great. And it's great that I think because of Philippines having the call center industry for the last couple decades, now you've got people that they could make that investment. They see what's happening, and it makes the Philippines more ready, more equipped to handle more. Because if we didn't have the office space, if we didn't have the infrastructure, those are big deal. Like if we didn't have the internet capacity, when COVID started to have people working from home, we would have been stuck. No one could have come to the office. It would have been, so that's all that infrastructure stuff is so important. So, which seemed like that was the theme of this episode is, so that's a big reason, between the American influence, and all of the, learning English as a kid growing up, everybody's getting that, to the infrastructure and to the whole country. Really positioning itself to take advantage of what's happening in the world, which is that people are outsourcing more and more and more to the Philippines and turning that into growing their businesses and creating more jobs. So, which is really transforming the Philippines. And it's great to hear because traffic it's not the best there. So it's nice to see any improvement there. But I think that wraps up our conversation for this episode, Jake. So thank you. I appreciate the research you did. It was really great to come up with some stats and statistics instead of just stories. So I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah. Thanks, Eric. And
Right.
hopefully we can, this is something that also share to other people, other companies about how effective Filipinos are, and the Philippines also as well with outsourcing business. So these are the things and that you can expect with a business worked by Filipinos. So I hope this helped.
Yeah. All right, Jake. Yeah. Well, next episode, I want to talk more about culture, the Philippines culture. Talk a little bit about maybe some things to look out for if you're working with the Philippines for the first time. And I want to talk about work ethic because people always talk to me about that when they first started working with us. And anything else you got on your what else you got on your list there we could talk about next episode?
Yeah, I believe we covered everything, Eric. And
all right, so you got a couple more things to talk about. So come check us out on the next episode where we'll be wrapping up our conversations on why Philippines is a hub, why are people picking the Philippines to outsource, and so If you guys want to learn more, again, on this podcast, we talk about outsourcing, customer experience, managing a call center, anything all around in between that. And so thank you guys for watching and listening, and come check out the next episode where we'll continue the conversation with Jake and tell you more about why people are picking the Philippines to outsource. See you next time, guys.